Heyo, this is Dr. J-Mac. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about how many hours doctors actually work. You can Google it. You can just Google how many hours do doctors work a week, and you're going to get an answer, but it's not the right answer. And I'm going to tell you why later on. I'm not going to tell you right now, but I'm going to be calling out resident physicians. Resident physicians, they're young doctors, they're in training, and guess what? They're liars. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about our sponsor, AireServ. They're freaking amazing. They will come into your house, do an indoor air quality test, and figure out why you wake up sneezing in the middle of the night, why you have allergies all day, every day, and not just when you're outside. Can we roll the video? I just made a TikTok on it recently. Can we roll that? Do you or your family members have allergies even when you're inside of your homes? I will literally wake up sneezing. It's the worst. This is the inside of my air ducts right now. This is what my family is actually breathing in on a regular basis. AireServ is a neighborly company that will come out to your house, test your indoor air quality. They'll clean your existing system, and they'll optimize it to filter out the debris and smaller particles. It is very clear that I need this service, and you probably do too, so let's both schedule it today. Yes, that is actually the inside of the air vents of my house. That's flippin' disgusting, and that's probably what yours look like too. So go to airserv.com and schedule an indoor air quality test. They're going to come out. They're going to make some serious recommendations on how you can improve your breathing and your living. So do it now. All right, so now we're going to talk about how many hours doctors actually work, not just what Google tells you. And to do that, we need to think about work hours in two separate pools. There are attending work hours and there are resident hours, okay? The attendings have already gone through all of their training. They're certified to work completely on their own. Technically, there are no legal restrictions on how many hours that they can work, but they end up limiting themselves. There's a 2014 study that showed that the majority of US doctors work between 40 and 60 hours per week. But a quarter of US doctors actually work well over that, up to 80 hours per week. And this varies a lot based on specialty. And as you can imagine, the doctors that work lower hours have higher job satisfaction. And the doctors that work way longer hours have lower job satisfaction. This is a no-brainer to me, but it's hard because when you're going through med school, you're deciding what career you want to go into based off of things that don't really impact your day-to-day happiness. Things like, how cool does your day-to-day seem? It's much cooler to cut into somebody's body than to work in a clinic. But a lot of the doctors that do work in clinic and are not performing surgeries on a regular basis are actually happier than the doctors who are doing the more subjectively cool work on a regular basis. You know, at some point, it strays from what do other people think about my life? And it goes back more towards what am I actually enjoying and what am I actually living on this planet for? And at the end of the day, a lot of times it doesn't come down to your career. It comes down to your family, your friends, the trips you've gone on recently, how much free time you have. Okay, so then that's the attending pool. So the attending pool, there's a ridiculous amount of hours that can be worked there. So the other pool, the resident pool of work hours, is actually way different than what you're going to find on Google or on any formal survey. And that's because residents lie. Residents are liars. They're not lying to their patients. They're not lying to their attendings. At least I hope they're not. But they are lying to the regulatory bodies. There are regulatory bodies in the US, it's the ACGME, that are limiting the work hours that doctors can put in. And that makes sense because you're completely sleep deprived. It's been, 30 hours since you've slept. You're not going to be making good decisions. This is not only very intuitive information. This has also been proven time and time again in studies, most of which are done actually with pilots, because it's obviously a tragedy when one person dies, but in the government's eyes, it's a much bigger tragedy when 200 people die at the same time, right? And so anytime a plane goes down, there is a huge inspection into that. There's much more regulation with work hours once you're a professional pilot that there are once you're out and done with your training as a doctor. And so way more research has been done on the effects of sleep deprivation and your ability to think clearly and execute in those certain conditions within the aviation realm. And so I'm very glad that they've done all these studies, and I'm very glad that there are regulatory bodies that limit the number of hours that residents can work. But guess what? They're liars. It all depends on the specialty that they are in training to do, though. There's much more lying that takes place in fields like neurosurgery, in fields like orthopedic surgery, fields that are a little bit more prestigious. There is kind of an underlying unspoken rule that you only end up reporting the hours that the regulatory bodies want you to be working. And then anything above that, mum's the word, right? And there's even bragging. There's a lot of bragging in the hospitals about how many hours they've gone without sleeping, how many hours they were actually at their house this week. But you'll never get those reported on these formal surveys and stuff like that. So there's the inside scoop. But when it comes down to more chill specialties, pediatrics, internal medicine, those hours probably do reflect the true number of hours that they're in the hospital. But I'll be damned if I believe any of these hours that these surgical subspecialties are reporting, because it is simply not the case.